Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that this video finds you well. If you are watching us for the first time, kindly subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. I want us to talk about the sentiments that were given by the former IEBC chair, Hassan. While speaking to Jeff Koinange on Citizen TV, Hassan said that in 2013, when he chaired the IEBC and he was presiding over a presidential election, he wished Raila won the 2013 election. And he showered Raila with praises, gave reasons why he really wanted Raila to become the president. He says that Kenyans should have given Raila a chance so that they see his style of leadership. Of course, many have really told of Hassan saying that Raila won in 2013 and he had an opportunity of standing firm to be counted and declare Raila as the winner. Because according to Hassan, he says that the results that were brought to him to announce as the chairman of the IEBC indicated that Ruto won that election. I don't want to get into whether Raila won or not in 2013. I want us to get to the sentiments, because he says he wanted to see the style of leadership. This conversation reminded me of the late ECK chairman, Electoral Commission of Kenya chairman Samuel Kivuitu, who in 2007 declared the late President Moi Kibaki as the winner in a hotly contested election and under circumstances that were clear that elections were rigged, because during the altercation then Samuel Kivuitu told the ODM, and I remember him addressing William Ruto, who was working together with Raila, that someone was busy cooking figures. That was the chairman of an electoral body telling Kenyans who are already agitated that someone was cooking figures. No wonder in 2007 we went to post-election violence and Kenyans lost their lives, others were maimed, others became IDPs in their land. And later Samuel Kivuitu, when asked whether he was sure that Kibaki won, he said he didn't know who won the elections. Those are sentiments that I've continued to condemn. So when Hassan is coming up to tell us that he would have wished that Raila won the elections, it reminds me, because those are sentiments of someone who harbors regrets in his heart. Maybe there is something that he feels he should have done better. But it is not only he who wished that things were done differently. If they could turn back the hands of the clock, maybe they would do it differently. Those who call themselves the hustlers, who were hoodwinked and voted for William Ruto for this administration, have made a U-turn, and some of them are crying foul, and they're saying that they did not know that this is how things would turn out to be. Especially now that the cost of living is really high. Just yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary of Education, Ezekiel Machogu, had announced that they want to reduce or completely abandon the subsidy on university fees, and they are increasing the university fees. So that means that the cost of education at the university level will be higher. We all know that the cost of electricity is high, the cost of unga, and there is a bill that is pending in Parliament that seeks to increase VAT on fuel, and that only means one thing, that the cost of living will continue to skyrocket to a level that the common man will not reach. So many really wished that they had voted the Azimio government. In an earlier conversation, Isaac Hassan had said that we vote on tribal lines. Just because someone comes from your area or is your tribesman, regardless of his character, regardless of queer personalities, you know very well that this man is corrupt or this woman is corrupt, you will still vote for them because they are your tribesmen. And this is one of the things that we continue to regret, because after voting in our tribesmen, they turn out, and I remember using the words of James Orengo, regimes eat their own children, and this regime has started eating its own children. Isaac Hassan explains a few things why he thinks that Raila maybe would have made a better president. He says it indirectly, and let us just read the headlines there. The ex-IEBC Isaac Hassan, why I wanted Raila to be president, and it continues to say that the former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC chairperson Isaac Hassan on Wednesday, May 17th, recalled how he decided as Azimio la Umoja coalition leader Raila Odinga to win the 2013 presidential election. And he says that Hassan, I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister, and in my first job as CKRC's commissioner, he was the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on the Constitution. They interviewed us, and I was among those elected from Northeastern Province. And he says that if anyone I have respect and gratitude to is him. I really would have wished for him to win the elections to become our president, because we needed to test his presidency. Number one on the list why Isaac Hassan feels that Raila would have made a better president is transparency. Raila was a prime minister then, and he was the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee that were interviewing people who are to occupy the position of the position of the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission. And Isaac Hassan had expressed fears that since he was coming from a minority group, maybe he would be shortchanged. But Isaac Hassan expresses his gratitude to Raila because he says that it was very common then that persons from the minority community or marginalized communities would not be allowed to ascend to such offices. In fact, today, the Somali community must be very happy because they have the cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Defense, they are heading the NIS, they are all over. So Isaac Hassan believes that Raila is transparent, and that is why he was given that position. Number two, Isaac Hassan believes that Raila Odinga is magnanimous, because he says that after the 2013 elections, there was bad blood between him and Raila Odinga. But one day when they were from international duty, he met Raila en route to Kenya. And they shared some light moments in an aeroplane. And Raila expressed his bitterness about one of the IEBC lawyers who had called him perennial loser. And they talked, and after some time, Raila forgave him because Raila believed he was part of the cartels that robbed him of his victory. And that alone tells you that Raila Odinga is a person who works with enemies. His magnanimity has always been manifested over the years. He worked with Moi after detaining him for 9 years. He worked with Moi Kibaki after shortchanging him in 2002, and after robbing him of his victory in 2007. He also worked with the former President Uhuru Kenyatta after what was perceived to be a robbed election in 2013 and 2017. And if you think I'm lying, ask the former Chief Justice David Emeritus Maraga, who nullified the elections in 2017, saying that the elections were not conducted properly. So his magnanimous nature is seen, and everyone knows that Raila has worked with those who are perceived to be enemies. Number three, Raila would have fixed this economy, because in the coalition government between him and Moi Kibaki, they really did a good job. And you know that even today the Kenya Kwanza team still says that they want to take back this economy where Kibaki left it. One thing that they don't say is that Kibaki and Raila worked together. In fact, even Kalonzo Musyoka was there as part of that government as the vice president. So those are three attributes that Isaac Hassan believes can make Raila become a better president. But why hasn't Raila become a president? Why has there been, lamentation every now and then that his victory is being robbed? You all know that there has been a cartel led by the international community that would never want Raila to ascend to power, maybe because Raila is talking about unity in Africa, and they know very well that if Africa unites, then that will be the beginning of their predicaments. Maybe doing business, they will not be able to exploit our resources. And so if we want to ensure that we have the right people, the people who elect to power, then we must express our disappointment in no uncertain terms to the international community led by the USA. We all know that in 2007 they sent Condoleezza Rice and they forced a handshake between Raila and Kibaki. In 2017, Chris Coons, the Delaware senator, came to Kenya and they forced a handshake between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. Today, we know that they are forcing a handshake and they are telling Raila to accept an official opposition leader's office so that he can stop, fighting for electoral justice. So we must tell off the international community. We must introduce stiffer penalties for those who engage in electoral malpractice. Either they are jailed for life, or maybe tougher fines, so that whoever thinks of engaging in electoral malpractice will think twice. This is something we must do, and in the process of the bipartisan, Raila must ensure that moving forward we really talk about electoral malpractice and how to deal with it. The last one now belongs to the people themselves. When you are granted an opportunity, you wake up in the morning to vote, let us look at people with their policies. Let us not vote on tribal lines, because when we do, we later regret. Today, the economy is becoming, the administration is not able to fix this economy. They promised, but they cannot. They talk high, they have lofty ambitions, but that is only on paper. Practically, they are unable, because life continues to be difficult, the cost of living continues to skyrocket, and they are just confused. They now resort to blame game, blaming the previous regime, but this is something that does not help us. So ladies and gentlemen, how I wish that this message goes to the international community so that they let us fix our own problems, and maybe let them give Raila a chance, as Isaac Hassan says, so that we can know and test his style of leadership. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.